Tip 3. Comment on the writer's craft. Be aware that literature doesn't spring out onto the page fully formed. Everything was a choice made by the writer, and the writer could have said the same thing in any other way. Why say it in this way? What's unique about this particular phrasing? Why use this technique instead of something else? What is the effect of this particular structural decision? Let's look at an example. Here's Havisham by Carol Ann Duffy. It starts off, "Beloved sweetheart bastard. Not a day since then I haven't wished him dead." That's pretty intense for the first lines of the poem. Let's first look at what is said. On the surface, it seems clear that the speaker had some kind of romantic history with this male subject. But after a certain point, their romance has turned to hatred. The immediate tone in the first few lines is that of anger and fury, maybe resentment. This is shown through the coarse bastard and the voice wishing him dead. But now let's also focus on the writer's craft and the choices behind "beloved sweetheart bastard." Let's look at how it's said, and then we can also consider why write it in this particular way. What specific effect is created? Let's start with "beloved sweetheart bastard." That's a really unusual phrase because it's so oxymoronic. The tone wavers between affection and fury so fast. And why this is open to interpretation. Maybe the speaker is also uncertain what they feel. Maybe they have a lot of internal conflict between loving and hating their ex-lover. You could also see this as evidence of the speaker's own emotional intensity and maybe instability. The hard B and sibilant S sounds also allows this line to be spat out or hissed, really emphasizing the speaker's angry tone. And the shortness of the phrase and that decisive full stop at the end almost feels like the speaker is summing him up. Like, "Yup, this is all my ex-lover is to me now. Beloved, sweetheart, and now bastard." That's a lot of information to get from 3 words, and it shows how much analysis we can get from paying close attention to writer's craft and thinking carefully about each of their choices. Here's another example from Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata, translation by Edward Seidensticker. It was a stern night landscape. The sound of the freezing of snow over the land seemed to roar deep into the earth. There was no moon. The stars, almost too many of them to be true, came forward so brightly that it was as if they were falling with the swiftness of the void. Again, let's look at what is said first. The setting is on a cold winter night, which seems fairly unfriendly. It's described as stern, roaring, and there's no moon. But the voice also describes the stars as being plentiful, filling up the night sky. There's a sense of brilliance and illumination, which is usually associated with hope and the heavens. And how was it said? The tone of this part seems full of disbelief and wonder, since the speaker is looking on such an incredible view. The stars are coming forward so brightly that it was as if they were falling with the swiftness of the void. What does that even mean? It's an odd thing to say, again, because stars contrast so strongly with falling. And so the writer takes advantage of our common associations with stars. We usually think, oh, brilliance, hope, beauty, and elevation. And he subverts this idea by the emotion of falling, which turns the hopeful image into one that's much more devastating, or maybe even apocalyptic. And the brilliance of the stars also contrasts strongly with the complete darkness of a void. There's a close juxtaposition of images we commonly associate with hope versus images we associate with despair in how the speaker is describing the landscape. And that somewhat subverts our expectations of a beautiful starry sky. We could then also question why the speaker is describing their surroundings in such an unconventional way. What can we infer from that? What might it tell us about the speaker's mental state? It's always good to analyze writer's craft, the choices they made, and be aware that everything was a choice, whether consciously or subconsciously made. And you, the reader, can interpret these choices and link them back to certain themes and ideas.